Okay, first item on the agenda is the public comment period, which is both at the beginning and toward the end of the meeting. This is the time for members of the public to comment on anything relating to planning, other than things that are the subject of a public hearing. And we don't have anything tonight that is. So public comment period, you can open this to the public.
Okay, I do have Toby Arsenian with his hand up.
Okay, Toby.
Toby, you're unmuted. And also Peter Kuttner is back.
Good, just in time.
Good. Thank you. Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. I was disconcerted listening to Jason Shaw's remarks to the Board of Selectmen Tuesday evening. These were remarks about the presentation of what was Article B at what is to be a special town meeting. You said that the changes were largely clerical, Article B. That's not my impression. I had written 14 amendments, which I properly got in, of which 12 related to Article B, and only one was dealt with, although in a rather strange fashion, not being voted on. That was the agreement that we would have the notations on when changes were made to the zoning code preserved rather than discarded. So with 10 more to go, I feel that you're misrepresenting things if you're saying that what you're presenting are clerical changes. There were substantial changes to the parking arrangements and also to the setbacks. And as well, there is the coastal floodplain zoning, which had been altered in a minor fashion and not for the better. And if you're going forward with it, really there needs to be a separate vote on each Roman numeral section. Anything else isn't fair. That would give you the opportunity and the responsibility of explaining any changes in each section, and would give the public a chance to digest it and question it and perhaps object to it or offer alternatives. So I would ask you to consider that and remind you of what I told the selectmen, which is if you decide to lump things together, the moderator on his own volition can divide any article that is capable of division, and it can also be done on the town meeting floor. Any 10 citizens can request an article would be divided, and certainly I would do that, but it should not be necessary. Thank you. Okay,
you're welcome. We're not really there yet, Toby. We haven't figured out how to divide it up yet, but we're working on it. So let's hold your criticism, which I'm sure there will be, but just hold on to it. So, okay, any other public comments?
That's everybody, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's go to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes. Right now, we have the minutes of May 5 and May 19th. Kelsey has informed me that she has completed the minutes of June 2nd and June 16. However, they haven't been, Mary hasn't formatted them in the way that she likes to format them, so they're not on for approval tonight. But if, assuming we can get up to date at the next meeting with tonight's minutes, we will then be completely up to date, which will be terrific. And I think we could do that because the meeting tonight, I don't think it's going to be that long. But anyway, let's look at the minutes of May 5, 2022. And I ask if there are any corrections, additions, or deletions.
Sure, Mr. Chair, I'd like to bring our attention to number 4, continuation and determination of private way adequacy, 6 Gull Cove Lane. I don't know that at that time the application had formally been withdrawn, but the planning board is not currently doing anything with this project. I suppose, technically true, the application was either open or it was closed.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go back. I mean, that's a good point. I'd have to go back and look to see. I know there was an application made. We never actually started to discuss it. And then it was withdrawn. Is that right? Does that ring a bell with everyone?
My understanding is that it was withdrawn without prejudice.
Exactly.
Right, well, right, it was withdrawn. There's no prejudice, then we haven't ruled on it, so they withdrew it, and I don't know if we'll ever see it again. My understanding is that the applicant decided to just go ahead and make improvements. So that's what my understanding. So I'll think of another way to word that. I understand what you're saying. Continuation determination. I'll look back at when it was actually officially withdrawn and see when that is in relation to, to this.
To this meeting.
Yeah.
Didn't we go see it? We went and saw it just before this meeting, but by the time the meeting happened, I was under the impression it had been withdrawn.
I think we talked about.
I know we all saw it, but I'm not sure of the timing. So
Yeah.
okay, but okay, I will make note of that, Harry, and make a change to make it a little more specific, perhaps.
And then the other items, I should say, under number 7, member items, first line, Corsland states that he attended a meeting. Well, I never actually attended a meeting. I was referring to a newspaper article I read in the Gloucester Times regarding the TOVO.
What should we say then? Corsland states that he read a newspaper article about
Referred to a newspaper article, yeah.
concerning the
Yep,
TOVOD in Essex.
right.
Okay. Got it. All right. Okay. Very
And
good.
then the only other item there is just wordsmithing, the second to the last line and under section 7 member items. Let's see, Donnelly believes this will change with the Harbor Light developments on Granite Street. I think we ought to refer to it in the singular, not.
Development, right. Okay.
That's it.
What, Shaw will send out PowerPoints for town meeting. Oh, okay, this was before, this is before the town meeting, so, yeah. All right. Very good. Any other corrections, additions, or deletions? Tom?
In that same paragraph, about halfway down, there's a sentence starting with "there is a storm."
Right, this is paragraph 7?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a storm project.
Yeah, the word projected implies that it's kind of a forecast. I recommend you change that to something like envisioned.
It was like a pro forma as opposed to a weather forecast for 2038.
Right, you didn't say
It's a what if. It's not a, hey, this is
storm
happening.
projected.
And when is that storm, Tom?
2038.
Storm in 1938 in 2038? What? Wait a second. Now I'm confused. There is
They used an example.
Yeah, it's a scenario.
2038, 2038.
Yes,
Were you talking about 2038?
that is in fact the scenario that they're looking at. And the word projected is inappropriate. Let's say envisioned.
So envision for when though, 2038?
Well, pick a different word. I got my thesaurus. You can have yours.
I'm a little.
Yeah, don't start out with there. There's implies a fact.
Yeah,
There could be a storm similar went by two.
I would recommend under storm modeling.
Actually, what you just said is right. There could be a storm similar to 38 in 2038. We're
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, but it's modeling. We're modeling something here. It's not.
yeah.
Not we're predicting.
Say there could be a storm in,
Similar to the storm of 1938 and 2038. That's a fair enough thing.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what we're planning for, a storm that could be that big again.
okay. And when 2038 rolls around,
You'll still be
We'll
chairman
check
of
the meeting notes.
come back to the minutes and we'll check it out.
One other thing, in the following sentence, it says they have shown global maps and computer models. I don't remember saying global, so let's just strike that word. They have shown maps.
Okay. All right.
I just have to say, thank you guys so much for all the feedback. I love learning from you guys how to word things. I know it sounds silly, but seriously, like, I appreciate it so much. You guys have taught me a lot, so thank you. That's all.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Yeah.
Nitpickers like to be appreciated.
The nicest thing anyone said about us so far today.
It'll be the only time, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, okay, anything else for these minutes of May 5? Okay, well, then we'll say, does anybody want to,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 5th, or the May 5th minutes, I should say,
with, as per,
with edits or amendments, yeah.
okay. Who wants to second that? Anybody seconding that motion?
Okay,
Second,
Moved by Tom, seconded also by Peter. We'll take a roll call vote. Peter,
aye.
Harry,
All right.
Tom.
Aye.
And I'll vote in favor, so approved 4-0 with changes. Okay, now May 19th, this is post-meeting. Post-town meeting. Okay, so same question about this. Any corrections, additions, or deletions?
If I may start, right under number 1, public comment, the 4th line down. We just need to spell confident correctly.
Okay, right, confident.
You're not, yeah, unless you're a confidant. How confident are you that you're a confidant?
Yep,
And then 4 lines below that, they have discussed this with Mr. Smith. However, he does not believe it's right. I wordsmith that and say appropriate.
okay.
That's all I got.
All right. Tom, you always have something.
this one's good.
Oh, wow, amazing. Okay. So one couple of comments, motion to approve the minutes of May 19 with
So moved.
moved by,
Second.
seconded by Harry. Roll call vote. Peter,
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Harry,
All right.
and I'll vote in favor with corrections. All right, that's good. And by the next meeting, Kelsey will have us up to date. Okay, next item on the agenda is the draft decision in the 6 Stonehaven Lane project. And see if there are any comments on that. It is a draft and a draft only, so if there are things that we need to talk about, we can talk about.
So I wasn't present at last meeting. The last scheduled meeting, I was down in South Carolina. But had I been present, I would have recommended approval of the project. I think my comments there are that Based on the plans submitted, there's no encroachment in terms of side setbacks. The stormwater plan seems to be very reasonable. All of the abutters who initially had expressed, or those abutters who had expressed some level of trepidation, seem to have been satisfied with solutions provided by the applicant. So based on all of the above, I would support the application.
Well, if nobody has anything else to say, then we can take a vote on approving this as written.
Jason, I have a math correction.
Math. Okay. What?
Last paragraph on page 3. It says house and garage that will be 500% larger.
Yeah,
It's actually 426% larger.
okay.
Doesn't round off to 500.
426.
Or you
Right
could say,
around that.
you could say 5 times as large, but it's not 500%.
Yeah, okay, got it. No, you're right.
Can you even say approximately 500%?
If you round off to the nearest 500, I guess.
426, I'm fine with that. I didn't spend a lot of time on figuring it out, but Tom figured it out and put 426. Is that your only comment, Tom?
I'm Mr. Math today, sorry. That's all I got.
So,
I thought we had a discussion about them accessing the street from South Street rather than the street on the water's edge. And they agreed.
wait, are you talking about forever or just during construction?
No, during construction, that those people that had the 2 corner houses down on, what is that street? Is that
Marmion
Marmion?
Way?
On Marmion and Stratesmith? And they said, no, they were willing to bring the stuff in from South Street. I thought that was the only comment.
Yeah, you know, I question though, Peter, whether we can impose conditions on construction, on what roads anybody can use. And, you know, how would that be enforced? Really? I don't foresee the building inspector hanging out at the property and making sure. So look, I've had construction on my road in the house next door to me for a year now. And I don't know if anybody's been on my road recently, but it's not really conducive to construction vehicles and they come from many different directions. So, and you know, it's fine.
Sure keeps the speeding down though, when, road construction.
Well, the road is a piece of crap now and full of potholes, so they can't go very fast, which is okay. You know?
No speeding.
I mean, this is me talking. I don't think we can make that as a condition. And I don't believe I think it was one of these things where they said, yeah, okay, that's what we'll do, but we weren't saying this is a condition of your site plan approval. So.
I have to agree with you because I think that could create an undue burden on the town, maybe on Paul Orlando, because invariably truck drivers are going to end up getting lost. They'll have different instruction enforcement would be problematic.
Yeah, and you have these, you have all these subs that come to these job sites.
Correct.
They don't know Stonehaven Lane from Adam. They put it in their GPS.
Right.
And it's going to take them the quickest way to get there.
Bearskin neck.
So, right. Right. Probably, yeah.
No, my street.
Yeah. Okay, so just moving along here, if there are no other comments, do I have a motion to approve the decision and approve me signing the decision as it is written with the recalculation of the,
I'll make that motion.
okay. Seconded,
Second,
is that you, Peter?
yes.
Okay, seconded by Peter, roll call vote, Harry,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Aye.
Tom, I, and I'll vote for approve also. So it's approved for me to sign this. 4-0 with that one minor change. Okay, well, we're moving right along here. Discussion of special meeting for the fall to consider Article B. As Toby alluded to, we had, and I emailed everybody about this, I was at the Board of Selectmen meeting earlier this week. And we did discuss a special town meeting to take care of the Article B provisions refashioned, but to have them on the agenda for a special town meeting this coming fall. There's too much,
Excuse me.
to bless you, for the regular town meeting, and we don't want to push this out to spring of 2023 because there's a lot of other stuff that's ordinarily on that agenda that we don't want to have this. So I think, with some hemming and hawing by Herm, was the general agreement to have this on a special town meeting in the fall, and the date that it looked like was going to be set, assuming the town clerk was okay with it, and the moderator, what would be, I guess it's October 3, is that right, Denise?
That sounds right. Yeah. Is that a Monday?
October 3rd, which is fine with me. I'm going to be gone out of the country from the 10th of October to the 25th. I would prefer to do this before I leave rather than have it, like 2 days after I get back. So that would be it. So that gives us a little bit of a timeline, and I'm going to prepare kind of a calendar, a backwards calendar, to let us know where, what we have to have done by when to be ready for that meeting. I did also was assigned a woman who is works for the town, who is supposedly familiar with Word, to reconfigure this Article B in a way that, it can be broken up into several different sections, including, the coastal plain whatever it's called, management, and other sections, which we discussed a little bit last meeting. But I think at the last meeting, we were at, 5 or so different articles, just so we didn't end up, having a problem with, I think Article G was a coastal floodplain, and Article H was large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installations. And then we had Article J, which was enforcement. So we had A, B, C, D, E, we had a bunch of different articles. They can maybe be combined. Some of them can be combined, which I'll try to do for the next meeting. I know, Tom, you've worked on done some work already on the floodplain. And we'll talk about that later. But we are going to move forward. Does anybody have any thoughts on this? Now,
Will we have the things that we did pass at the last special meeting incorporated into the zoning ordinance? And so that will be the new base document for the meeting and for people to refer back
well,
to.
I think the things that did pass were really separate. It was the ADU and the open space.
Open space.
And the
COVID.
The TOVOD, and they're kind of
They're
standalone.
standalone. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
so we don't need to this was the one that was in a way more problematic because, you know,
Was
it's
it everywhere?
things around, it's all over the code. So by next meeting, the woman I'm working with is a little indisposed right now, but by next meeting, we should have a good draft document to get working on. You know, we've got to do more public hearings. We've got to send a report saying why we should do this now and not wait, you know, the 2 years that is ordinarily required for a warrant article that is not passed. So you know, there's some work to do here in advance, and we're in July, so we got August. But, you know, we're gonna really by this should be in pretty good shape. It sounds soon, but that's kind of where we are. And yeah,
Would it make sense for this person to start over and track changes just once? You know, the document we were looking at last time had both the MAPC people's comments and other people's comments, and
yeah,
3 or
yeah.
4 different colors, and things were crossed out, put back, crossed out.
Listen, I agree with you. I mean, I'd like to try to simplify this. One thing I would like to do on this one, because I don't think we need to have it for town meeting, is get rid of those tabs on the right-hand side. They're just numbering aids.
Right.
You don't need to have the public approve them at town meeting. So why, you know, why have them kind of confusing? You know, the formatting gets very confused with those things. And that's it, but you're right.
After you at the last meeting were explaining about how you were having trouble editing it in Word,
Yeah,
I took the same thing and went through it. And I think one of the problems is those are hot active buttons that take you to those sections. And so there are all these invisible links. And as soon as
Yeah.
you start editing and reformatting, the links take you to a whole different section of the document.
yeah, I
And
think,
only the person who made it could do that, I think.
well, I hope not.
I mean, I know, but I mean, if you don't know what the approach is, it became
Yeah,
impossible for me to
it's,
edit also.
Yeah, I, you know, look, we're gonna try to take this one step at a time. I don't wanna overload her and try to do things one step at a time. And yeah. I mean, frankly, that's the biggest challenge with this whole article is just formatting it. You know, it's not the content. We're done with the content. It's formatting it.
Right.
It's a real challenge. So that's my report on that. So get ready for, you know, to knuckle down on this in the next couple of months. Okay, if nobody has anything more on that. Any member items?
Jason, can we talk about what we understand to believe to be the opening of the well, basically getting our housing production plan going?
Yeah, I think Denise, you can probably talk about that better than anyone.
Me?
You guys know what I know.
Denise.
I asked the question in the meeting and
Right, exactly.
yeah,
Thank you, Denise.
you're welcome, Harry.
And what did remind me, it seemed like Mitch was saying that we are a little bit further than we were before.
Well, I think what he said was that it's going to be posted early August. Isn't that what he said?
I believe so. I mean, I believe that he is moving, you know, slowly, but moving to move this thing along.
Yep.
Your help with this, Denise, would be very appreciated.
I'm doing what I can.
Well, I know you are. No, it's great. Yeah.
If we wait long enough, there'll be a housing recession.
Right.
What's that, Tom?
I said if we wait long enough, there'll be a housing recession.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, right. Um, Any other member items?
Jason, we could mention visit with Christian Brandt of MAPC.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Christian is the North Shore, I don't know, liaison or specialist or whatever they call it for MAPC. So he's got a number of communities, including Rockport, and he had never been to Rockport. So he wanted to come here and meet in person. So Jason and I met with him in the town hall annex, and kind of a brief meeting, but he seemed genuinely interested in helping us out and wanted to know what we wanted help with. And you had one item, Jason. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I talked with him about, just with the idea that the ADU provision is kind of a work in progress where, we're not, it'll probably be tweaked sometime in the future about what other communities were doing, and specifically regarding the Airbnb and short-term rentals, how they're dealing with them. And that was, I think he, I'll remind him, but I think he was gonna get us some information because he has his feelers out for all these communities on the North Shore and can hopefully tell us what they're doing, which will help us. That was the one I brought up. I don't know, Tom, if you had something else.
I can't remember if it was while we were talking with you or afterwards, but I did mention the coastal resilience interest because a number of his communities are along the coast. And I think he said there might be some best practices that we could look at. And I don't think these are anything we would be able to put into the current revisions of the bylaw, but for future changes, I think that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Also, after the meeting broke, I had about 10 minutes remaining before another engagement. So I gave Christian Brandt the 10-minute tour of downtown. Took him through Dock Square and explained some of the flooding issues and explained what Bearskin Neck was about and pointed him down the neck. I think he went down there and saw what he could see.
Okay, well, thank you. Any other member items?
I realize I should report on the CPC, but I don't have that stuff in front of me, so
You don't have
I'll do
what?
next week. Pardon?
What don't you have in front of you, Peter?
I don't have the numbers in front of me that.
Oh, okay.
So I'll mention next week. It was a couple, there's a couple $1 million in requests. And then a lot of them were postponed or broken into multiple pieces, planning studies, things like that. So they got it down to about $1.6 million. And we basically approved the Thatcher Island South Tower funding, Baptist Church steeple, Bradley Wharf, and Evans Field. Also the Granite Street affordable housing and the Pigeon Cove got additional money. And the only thing we didn't do at the time was the old firehouse on Dock Square. So a lot of great projects. So this is my first meeting, so I was astonished how great it was.
Why did you postpone those projects?
The one that we postponed, the old firehouse, is up in the air as to whether or not its historic designation will allow it to get by with less work on the foundations, or if the whole thing is going to have to be, which would be much more expensive. Since then, I've heard, I think the way the email's going now, they're optimistic they'll get the designation, the interpretation of the designation.
Yeah.
They'll be able to fund it. It's the biggest of the 11 proposals.
Okay.
Peter, was anything rejected?
Nope. Made
Everybody,
a very positive meeting.
everybody gets a prize.
Yeah,
You know, people I think that were in danger of being rejected trimmed their proposals.
Right.
Good
The
news.
The Baptist Church, for example, had a provision early on about replacing some windows, and they took that out and are just focusing on the steeple.
Yeah, there's a question of, you know, what's supporting a church, a religion, and what's supporting
Right.
the public community.
yeah, that could be an issue, I guess.
And then the South Tower for Thatcher Island, originally asked for 200, they trimmed it to 100 for the year.
100,000?
Yeah. I think it's a $400,000 project.
Yeah,
And so we're coming to CPC for half of it.
well, that's good. It's, you know, it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, the other one that was fairly big was 240 for Evans Field. And not having grown up here, third generation, everybody else on the committee was reminiscing about what they did under the bleachers 50 years ago.
They gonna like restore the bleachers to their former glory?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that the idea? Okay.
yeah.
We'll have a new generation, you know.
From the bleachers?
Yeah, but all they'll be doing under the
That's
bleachers.
what, that's
all
what the
they'll be doing
generation.
is
That's
texting
it.
each other under the bleachers, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, if there are no more member items, then we have our second public comment period. Anybody want to comment? Toby Arsenian, looks like he has his hand up.
Thank you. Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. You referred to the housing needs assessment. You referred to it as the housing production plan. I believe that unfortunately it's both. If it is not actually to go out until August, having waited forever and ever and ever with less and less patience, you might stick an oar in and try and get it right before it goes out. What would be right would be a requirement that the consultants, whomever they choose, make a public presentation of the report so that your fellow citizens can see, you know, what we're dealing with and perhaps take some interest in it. And such a production, such a presentation, you know, which should be a standard part of any report that the town pays for, if it's to mean anything and be a fair and level field, it would have to be on file in its draft form several weeks before, with proper notice you would give, the selectmen would give, so that people could familiarize themselves with it. And when the public hearing is held, people could ask informed and intelligent questions rather than simply be blundering forward. And all of this isn't to indulge my enthusiasm for public hearings. If you hope that the town is going to move forward with any of this, it's in your interest as well that the public take an interest and be informed. So I'm asking you, will you please get a hold of Mitch Vieira and ask that that be a provision of the contract for the housing needs assessment?
May I respond, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, you go ahead. Harry.
So, Toby, you may or may not know, this is a tool. This is a tool that is, quite frankly, a requisite of the DHCD in terms of other things that we may be looking to do in the future. The town of Rockport, quite frankly, is one of the only towns in the North Shore that has never completed a housing production plan. Most towns have gone about editing their housing production plans. So again, I simply want to emphasize this is nothing more than a tool. And without it, we're well behind the 8 ball. We've been behind the 8 ball for quite a few years now without it. And essentially, you referred to the housing needs assessment. That is a component of the housing production plan. A housing production plan is not complete without it. So I just wanted to perhaps clarify any points that you might not be completely familiar with. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation, but that doesn't answer my concern that it be presented to the public. Nothing
Wasn't
whatever
intended to.
Nothing whatever is going to come of it unless your fellow citizens embrace it and sign on to it. Unless you're hoping to do it entirely on your own, either out of your pockets, the 5 of you, or out of grant money exclusively. So you do indeed need to have public knowledge and public support.
Okay,
I
good.
beg to differ.
We're not even, Denise.
I never mind.
Okay. All right. No more public comments, Kelsey?
That's everybody, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Enid. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, Peter. I didn't hear you. Okay, seconded by Peter. Roll call vote. Harry,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
No vote in favor. Meeting's adjourned. Denise, thank you as always for attending.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to see you. Sometimes I forget
Take care, everyone.
the board anymore.
Good night.
Now it's back in.
Meeting
Good night.
adjourned 7:15. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Nice.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Kelsey.